Hey, how you doing? So, just gonna do a short video today and try to keep it under 10 minutes. I don't know if that's possible, but I'll try to do that. Listen, a lot of times what's in my life, I'm working with lots of guys and and it's so amazing, blows me away to be, I'm quite intimately involved with working with guys and on the path to recovery and how after 3 or 4 weeks of you know not drinking or using, their crazy mind tells them that maybe they're going to be okay, and it's just friggin' insanity. It really is. So I mean, do you know anybody that's a real alcoholic or a real addict? If you know anybody that's a real alcoholic or a real addict, you've seen how this crazy thinking can come up, and it does. So I'm going to read a couple of things here. I'm reading out of the Big Book a little bit, if you don't mind. Was written and published in 1939, but it's the core. It's our text in the 12-step recovery program, and which works. You know what? People sometimes even make comments on my page here. They say, "Oh, well, you don't need that. You just need to, have a firm willpower and all that kind of stuff." But for the real alcoholic, the addict, that shit doesn't work. Willpower doesn't work. Self-knowledge doesn't work. Therapy generally doesn't work for the real alcoholic or the addict. And so, if you're one of those, and that's who I'm kind of interested in working with. That's what this message is for: the real alcoholic or the addict. And so, chapter 3, more about alcoholism, says most of us have been unwilling to admit that we are real alcoholics. And that's the thing. It's like, oh, you're kidding. How could that be? I mean, after we've had impaired driving charges, after we've, lost our families, after we've lost our jobs, we're still like, no, no, I think I can fix this. I really do. And it's the craziness, eh? No person likes to think he is bodily or mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it's not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove that we could drink like normal people or use drugs, okay? Drink or drug. And the idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker, every hardcore, real alcoholic. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. And in my 40 years around involved in the recovery program, I've seen hundreds of guys, men and women, hundreds do this. Somehow they go back out and 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 they die. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost self that we were alcoholics or addicts. Yes, this is the first step in recovery. Fully concede, right? Um, the delusion that we are like other people or presently may be must be smashed, has to be smashed. Nobody goes back to being able to, to drink or use recreationally. For me, I never did. Like I never did. From day one, I didn't drink, or use recreationally. I drank alcoholically from day one, from day one, like 13 years old. I, you know, got shit faced, falling down, you know, ready to fight, uh, drunk. And that's who I was most of my drinking career. Um, we alcoholics or addicts are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking or using. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. So that's the message, all right. And all of us felt at times as we were gaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. Right? Pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period of time, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost our legs. They never grow new ones. Neither do they appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there's been brief recovery, followed always by still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism and addiction agree that there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science has may prove one day to accomplish this, but it hasn't so far. So this is 80 years later, and there is no pill. There is no pill. Despite all we can say, many of us who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they'll try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard and long enough to drink like other people. So that's it. I mean, there's so much in that book. It's just so amazing, the detail around the recovery process. You know, the first thing is we have to identify that that's us. You know, and right? Even in recovery, we know whether we're actually living the steps, living happy, joyous, and free. That's what's available in the steps, is happy, joyous, and free. The low bar is not drinking, not using, but that's where we start. And that from there, we can kind of go through the process to spiritual awakening. And then in the 12th step, it says, having had a spiritual awakening, right? As a result of these steps, we carry the message. And we carry the message, it lifts us up. It's amazing. So that's my my little share about that. And every day now I've been reading from this little book. I'm gonna read from this. If you guys have any questions about this ever, just ask. And I'll do my very best to respond to questions and to, reach out. If you want to reach out, April 23rd, if you want to reach out, we'll talk. I mean, that's what I'm here for. And that is what I'm here for, April 23rd. This is from the little book I've been reading. We're so close, 1 week away from a year we've been reading this book. I'm going to read something else starting the 1st of May. I'm not sure what yet, but we're going to read something else. Love it, by the way. If you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, kind of grow that YouTube channel, see what we can make something happen there. Okay, love you guys. April 23rd, thought for the day. And then hang on, after I read this, we'll do a short meditation. Men and women keep coming into the 12-step world, licked by drugs and alcohol, often given up by doctors as hopeless cases. They themselves admitted they're hopeless to stop drinking or using. When I see these men and women getting sober and stay sober over a period of months and years, I know that AA works. The 12 steps work. The change I see in people who come into the 12 steps not only convinces me that it works, but it also convinces them that there must be a power greater than ourselves which helps us to make that change. Am I convinced that a higher power can help me to change? I mean, that's the bottom line. Am I convinced that higher? Yes. Meditation for the day. Cooperation, it says, from this guy wrote this in 1954. I think it was published in 1954. Cooperation with God is the great necessity of our lives. All else follows naturally. Cooperation with God is the result of our consciousness of His presence. Consciousness is of presence. So it's not as a result of a belief. It's actually a result of the consciousness of His presence. Guidance is bound to come to us as we live more and more with God, as our consciousness becomes more and more attuned to the great consciousness of the universe. So I like now God, another concept he just said is the great consciousness of the universe. And I like that, because sometimes people have a tough time with the little 3-letter word, G-O-D. So imagine the great consciousness of the universe. We must have many quiet times when we not so much as ask to be shown. Many quiet times when we not so much ask to be shown and led by God as we feel and realize His presence. New spiritual growth comes naturally from cooperation with God. Quiet times, baby. Meditation, sitting We're going to do that in about 3 minutes here. Prayer for the day. I pray that God may supply me with strength and show me the guidance in which He wants me to grow. I pray that these things may come naturally from my cooperation with Him. Boom, 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 boom. That's the deal. So the whole thing is, developing this conscious contact. Talks about in step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact, conscious connection, consciousness, our relationship, God consciousness in step 11. So we're going to do what I do every day, which is a little bit of meditation. I mean, you can do a lot if you want, but we're just going to sit for a few minutes, and I may speak a little bit just to bring us into the moment, into this now. So just breathe. There we go. Just settle in. Here we are, like my perspective is that I'm a being living in this body. I'm not this body. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my story. I'm something that watches this body, I'm aware of my body. We even say it's my body. It doesn't say I'm my body. This is my hand. This is my leg. So we know that we're not that. And the same thing with our thoughts. Say, oh, those are my thoughts. But we're not our thoughts. So we learn to separate. In meditation, we watch. Just gently let our thoughts go. As they come up, we're present to them. We just let them go. We start to feel the stillness. Of this moment. Remember, if thoughts come, just let them go. Come back to our breath. All right. Thank you. You can stay in this space as long as you like. There's no rush. Practice this. You can practice this, as many times as you like through the day. Just drop in. Use the breath. Close your eyes. Boom, you're there. Through practicing it, we realize that connection, we realize that oneness. Thank you. Love you.